For the Democrats, anything is restrictive that they disagree with. Anything is Jim Crow that they disagree with. Anything is racist that they disagree with. Anything is sexist that they disagree with. And they can go to hell. And all the corporations that back them can go to hell. And all the sports players and sports leagues and sportscasters that back them, they can all go to hell. We shouldn't destroy our system because people are ignorant or because people are pursuing a radical left agenda, or they ultimately want to undermine our voting system to ensure that the Democrat Party is elected for another century without challenge. We've seen what's happened in countries like that. What the Democrat Party sees here is the opportunity with this election law to destroy the Republican Party, to prevent any serious competition for the presidency, vice presidency, Senate, or House of Representatives. It's that simple. And you can see these various elements in the culture that support the Democrat Party backing them. Stacey Abrams, LeBron James, Steph Curry, the media, the corrupt and crooked media in this country, they know what they're doing and we know what they're doing. Now, the reason why Joe Biden is in the gutter is because he's never left the gutter. And so when he says this is Jim Crow, he knows it's not Jim Crow, but he doesn't care. The ends justify the means. It's worse than Jim Crow. It's Jim Eagle. Somebody tried to coin that. Everybody said, well, that's stupid. You've even had the Washington Post try to correct Joe Biden on a few occasions. He said that polls close at 5 p.m. Can you imagine that? People are just getting home and working. Well, the polls in Georgia are open from 7 in the morning to 7 at night. That has not changed. The polls in Georgia were not open on Sundays, so now they're opening it on Sundays and Saturdays if people want to vote on the weekend. That is a change. That's an expansion. 17 days, as I said, for early voting. That is an expansion. So there's nothing here that is regressive or restrictive in any respect. Now, I'm telling you about this because I've actually read this proposed and now statute. I read part of it on the air and radio as well. Almost everybody else commenting on it hasn't read a damn thing. The head of the baseball league, the commissioner, he hadn't read it. The CEO of Delta, he hadn't read it. The CEO of Coca-Cola, who I think is a Brit, by the way, he hasn't read it. None of these people have read it. Some of them actually supported it before, like Delta, said, this is fine. But then the left, the Marxists jump in and they attack, and the Democrats jump in and they attack, and the president jumps in and urges a boycott. Well, we're going to get into that in a minute. MSNBC, Stephanie Rule, who is a disgrace, talking to New York Times reporter Sorkin. Now, it's always interesting to me when you have one so-called journalist interviewing another so-called journalist. What is the point of that? There is no point of that. So what's the point of my playing it? To humiliate these people. Go.
Critics are saying CEOs should not be weighing in on Georgia voting laws or morality, but that's not what this is about. What CEOs are experts in is risk management. Haven't they decided basically that staying silent is going to hurt their bottom line a whole lot more?
Let me just stop you there. It's more about risk management with these CEOs. These boardrooms are filled with leftists. These boardrooms and media are filled with leftists. All over the country, they're filled with leftists. Silicon Valley and so forth. And maybe this so-called reporter would do better in asking the question rather than making a statement and putting a question mark behind it. Go.
This is a business decision, and what's so remarkable about what's happened over this past week is, Republicans have always loved big business and free markets until the big businesses turn against them on issues, in this case, social issues.
Okay, let's stop. Voting is not a social issue. It's a constitutional issue. It's not a social issue. It's not even a cultural issue. That's number one. Number two, these are corporatists. We've been talking about this now for years on radio, even here, who do not support free market capitalism or competition. They support government smothering competition. They support special privileges from government. Look at big tech. They wouldn't survive but for the fact that in 1994 or so, they got protections against lawsuits. Look at big media. Same thing with the New York Times versus Sullivan decision, a disaster in the 1960s. Again, protecting them from the market system. So you and I support businesses that want to participate fair and square in a free market, in a competitive market. What we reject are big businesses that don't want to do that, the big businesses that don't believe in that. And we've seen these kind of businesses in fascistic regimes, even Marxist regimes, where they coddle up to the government and so forth. So here we have two liberal Democrats dressed up as journalists mocking Republicans.
For all this and much more, sign up for Levin TV.